You have been holding something in your mind for so long that you have started to wonder whether it lives there permanently. Whether the vision, the clear, specific, "this is what I want" vision that you have been carrying with such patience and such precision, is going to remain exactly where it has always been, in the realm of thought and feeling and internal knowing, vivid and real in that dimension, but stubbornly, frustratingly absent from the physical one. You know what you want. That is not the problem. The problem is the gap. The specific, persistent, how is this still a gap between the clarity of the vision and the reality of your daily circumstances? Between what you can see when you close your eyes and what you can hold when you open your hands. You have done the work. The intentions were set with genuine conviction, not the surface variety. The inner restructuring that the last several months required, the releasing, the clearing, the honest examination of what needed to change before the external could match the internal. You did that. The energetic claiming, the karmic positioning, the choosing of your worth and your standard over the comfortable settling that was always available if you wanted it. You did that too. The vision has been held with the consistency and the faithfulness of someone who genuinely knows what they are building toward, and the physical world has been lagging behind. The circumstances of your actual daily, tangible life have been moving. You can feel the movement, but not yet catching up to where the energy has been for months. The delivery has been approaching. The landing has not yet happened. And the frustration of that gap, the particular, refined, "I know it is coming but I do not yet have it" frustration, is the specific experience you have been living inside. Today that experience ends, because today the threshold opens, and what has been circling in the energetic realm for longer than is comfortable finds its crossing point into the physical dimensions of your actual life. Mercury Cazimi in Taurus is active today. Before I tell you what that means for your specific circumstances, I want to make sure you understand what these words actually describe, not as abstract astrological language, but as the concrete, physical world mechanism that they represent. Mercury is the planet of communication, thought, information, and the movement of meaning between people and places. It governs messages, conversations, the way ideas travel, the way things are said and received and understood. When Mercury communicates something, it is not simply transferring words. It is moving the specific energetic signature of what those words contain through the channels between people and between circumstances. Cazimi is the moment of a planet's exact alignment with the sun. Not conjunction, exactly within the sun's heart. The planet is not just near the sun, it is inside it. And what happens to a planet in that position is extraordinary. It is infused with the sun's light, the sun's clarity, the sun's power of illumination and revelation. It emerges from the Cazimi carrying that infusion, temporarily, precisely, in the specific window of the exact alignment, with an amplified capacity that far exceeds its ordinary operation. When Mercury Cazimi happens, the effect on communication and information is immediate and profound. What is communicated in this window carries not just its literal content, but a quality of sun-infused clarity, of impossible-to-miss resonance, of landing in ways that the same communication would not land on any other day. Mercury Cazimi messages have weight. Mercury Cazimi conversations open things. Mercury Cazimi information arrives with a precision and a timing that makes the timing itself part of the meaning. And today's Mercury Cazimi is happening in Taurus, the sign of the physical world, of material reality, of the earth beneath your feet, and the things you can hold in your hands, and the circumstances that have weight and presence and lasting tangible form. Taurus is the sign of what is built to stay, of what has roots, of what can be seen and touched and pointed to as something real. Mercury Cazimi in Taurus does something that Mercury Cazimi in other signs does not do with the same directness. It does not just bring clarity to the mental realm, it brings delivery to the physical one. The intersection of Mercury's sun-infused communicative power with Taurus's material world grounding creates the specific condition in which the energetic crosses over into the physical, in which what has been circling in the invisible dimension finds the landing point in the visible one, in which the vision becomes the reality, not as a gradual, incremental process, but as a threshold crossing that happens in the specific window of today. Every manifestation cycle has a structure. The first phase is the intention, the internal knowing of what you want, the genuine claiming of it, the energetic work of aligning yourself with what you are calling in. The second phase is the approach, the invisible movement of what you have called in toward your circumstances, the energetic preparation that the universe does in the time between the intention and the delivery, the assembly of the pieces that need to be in place before the landing can happen. The third phase is the threshold, the specific moment when the approaching thing reaches the boundary between the energetic and the physical, the line between what has been moving in the invisible dimension and what becomes present in the visible one. The threshold is not continuous. It is a moment, a specific, cosmically supported, opens wide enough for substantial things to pass through moment. And not every moment is a threshold moment. Most of the time the boundary between energy and physical reality is relatively narrow. Things can cross it, but they cross gradually, imperceptibly, through the slow accumulation of aligned circumstances. Mercury Cazimi in Taurus opens the threshold wide, unusually wide. The specific combination of Mercury's sun-infused communication power and Taurus's material grounding creates the conditions in which the boundary between energy and physical reality thins to the point where substantial things can cross it in a single day, in a single conversation, in a single message or encounter or circumstance that arrives and makes something that was purely energetic into something that is genuinely, undeniably, physically present in your life. You have been doing the work of the first two phases. The intention has been set. The approach has been underway. The invisible assembly has been happening throughout the extraordinary arc of the last several months. Through everything April moved, through everything Mars and Aries claimed, through the opening of Uranus and Gemini, and the delivery of Venus on the karmic nodes and the construction energy of Mars and Taurus. All of that has been approaching. All of it has been moving toward the threshold. Today the threshold opens. Today the crossing happens. What you have been holding in the invisible becomes something you can hold in the actual. What becomes tangible today is worth describing specifically because the threshold crossing of Mercury Cazimi in Taurus does not announce itself with dramatic theatrics. It arrives in the ordinary channels of your daily life wearing ordinary clothes. A message, a conversation, a piece of information, a person who shows up, a circumstance that changes. The message that arrives today carrying Mercury Cazimi energy is recognizable by its specific weight. It contains real information, the kind that moves something from the theoretical into the actual. The kind where you read it and something in you settles into a different position than it was in before, because the information has made something previously uncertain into something now known. The job offer that puts actual numbers on what was previously only discussed in principle. The response that confirms what you were hoping but could not be certain of. The message from a person who has been in the almost arriving position for some time, finally arriving with the specificity and the substance that makes the arrival real rather than approaching. The conversation that happens today under Mercury Cazimi in Taurus carries a different quality than conversations of other days. Things that have been circling their real subject for weeks find the subject today. Agreements that have been forming in the energetic dimension find their verbal expression today. The terms get stated. The commitment gets made. The thing that was between two people in the invisible dimension gets spoken aloud and becomes, in the speaking, a fact of the physical world rather than just a feeling of the energetic one. The opportunity that presents itself today under this Cazimi comes with enough substance to be acted on. This is the specific Taurus quality of what is being delivered. Taurus does not offer possibilities that require enormous leaps of faith to pursue. Taurus offers possibilities that are grounded enough, specific enough, resourced enough to be practical. The opportunity today has what it needs to be real. The timing is right. The terms are workable. The path forward is visible enough to take the first step. The resource or the circumstance that shifts today does so in a way that is measurably different from yesterday. Not dramatically. Taurus is never dramatic in its deliveries, but specifically, concretely, in a way that you can identify and point to. Something moved. Something changed position. Something that was one way is now another way, and the new way has more of what you needed it to have. Here is the dimension of today that carries the most specific opportunity, the one that is most directly in your control and that most directly participates in your own delivery. What you communicate today. Mercury Cazimi words carry extraordinary power. This is not a metaphor or a spiritual claim that operates outside of ordinary logic. It is the direct consequence of Mercury being infused with the sun's full light in Taurus, the sign that makes things real, that gives things physical form, that translates what is stated into what becomes true in the material world. What you say today has more translating power than what you said yesterday. What you write today lands with more weight than the same words written on a different day. What you send today, the message, the email, the response, the reach out that you have been composing and not sending, carries Mercury Cazimi force into the channels of your communication and makes its arrival different from its ordinary arrival. This is not an invitation to say everything at once or to force outcomes with the urgency of someone who thinks the window is too short to be thoughtful. It is an invitation to say the thing you have been carrying, the communication that has been ready, that represents something real, that moves towards something genuine. Send it today, not tomorrow, not when you feel more ready or more certain about the response you will receive. Today, while Mercury Cazimi is active, while the sun's infusion is making what you communicate carry the specific combination of clarity and landing power that this transit provides. The response you have been composing, the reach out you have been hesitating on, the conversation you have been circling the real subject of without quite landing on it, the declaration, the question, the statement of where you actually stand. Today is the day for it. Not because the window forces urgency that would not exist tomorrow, but because today the word carries more. Today the communication creates more. Today the universe is aligned in the specific way that makes what is said translate into what becomes real, with a directness and a force that ordinary days do not provide. If there is something that needs to be said, say it today. Mercury Cazimi in Taurus is precise and temporary. The window of the exact alignment, when Mercury is truly in the heart of the sun, when the sun infusion is at its maximum, is measured in hours rather than days. The full influence of the Cazimi extends somewhat beyond the exact moment, but the peak, the specific quality of this transit at its most powerful, is today, right now, in the hours you are inside. The person who understands what today is approaches it differently than the person who does not. They check their messages with a quality of attention that recognizes that something arriving today may be carrying more than its surface suggests. They bring their genuine presence to the conversations of this day, rather than moving through them at the efficient pace of someone managing their communication load. They do not dismiss what arrives as coincidental or ordinary. They let it land fully, let it sit for the moment required to feel its actual weight, let the real information it contains register before moving on. They also communicate deliberately. They do not let the day pass without sending what was ready to be sent, saying what has been ready to be said, reaching toward what has been ready to be reached. They participate in their own delivery by using the communicative power of Mercury Cazimi in Taurus to move something from the holding in mind realm into the out there in the world realm. By making the invisible visible through the specific, powerful, material grounding act of putting it in words and sending it through the charged channels of today. The person who treats today like any other Tuesday processes their messages, has their conversations, moves through the day at ordinary pace, and arrives at the end of it having received a fraction of what was trying to reach them through the specific window that Mercury Cazimi in Taurus opens. Not because the transit withheld anything, it offers what it offers regardless of awareness, but because awareness determines the quality of reception. And what is offered today is substantial enough to deserve the quality of reception that understanding it provides. You have been holding something in your mind for a long time. The vision has been clear. The intention has been genuine. The work has been real. The inner work, the energetic work, the patient, unglamorous, nobody sees it work of staying aligned with what you want even on the days when the staying aligned produces nothing visible. Today it produces something visible. Today it produces something tangible. Today the crossing happens, from the energetic to the physical, from the held-in mind to the held-in hands, from the vision to the reality. The message is in transit. The opportunity is taking shape. The conversation is about to have the words it has been circling. The resource or the circumstance or the person is arriving through channels that Mercury, Cazimi, and Taurus has opened with a width and a clarity that ordinary days cannot match. Stretch out your hands, not as a metaphor, as the actual posture of someone who is ready to receive something real, who is open, present, awake to what today is delivering, and genuinely prepared to take hold of what arrives rather than letting it pass through hands that were not fully extended. Today what was just energy becomes something you can point to, something that will be, in the weeks and months ahead, the thing you look back on as the moment it became real. The message that came, the conversation that happened, the opportunity that arrived, the circumstance that shifted, the beginning of what is now being built, on the foundation laid by everything that preceded this day, arriving through the threshold that Mercury, Cazimi, and Taurus opened exactly wide enough to let it through. This is the day, not someday, today. The vision becomes the reality. The energy becomes the thing. The held-in mind becomes the held in your actual life. Stay present. Stay open. Let it land. What you have been holding is about to become something you can hold.